Welcome to the future of money. Come with us on this journey into the world of Bitcoin, blockchain and crypto projects. You're going to meet the trailblazers. These people have changed my life and they may very well do the same for you. Welcome back, hard forkers. We've got a full panel today to talk with Huy from Kardiachain. Welcome along, sir.
Thank you very much, Sean. I'm happy to be here and give a quick chat with everybody here about KAI, the project, our mission, and what we plan to do in this year.
Excellent. So listen, we've all got lots of questions for you, but maybe if you could kick it off and just give us an overview of yourself, the team, and the project, and we'll fire some questions at you after that. So take it away, sir.
Thank you. So my name is Huy. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Kardiachain. Before founding Kardia, I have 10 years leading software engineering team at Google in Silicon Valley. I recently came back to Vietnam in last year to start, putting all the effort in growing Kardia team in Vietnam. So Kardia is a smart contract platform similar to Ethereum, if you will. And our focus is to be able to become the top of my blockchain project in Vietnam to bring the real mass adoption to the blockchain technologies. The reason why we chose Vietnam is we see it is a great opportunity over here. The vibe is very good. The lack of infrastructure gonna help the growth of the blockchain technologies. So the critical feature for Kardiachain platform is that not only we can do pretty much everything as other blockchain platform can do. We also have the interop abilities where it allows us to, non-invasively connect to other blockchains such as Ethereum, Neo, or Trons. And in the future, we plan to continue to grow that path as well.
Fantastic. So Lisa, I'll let you kick it off with the first question.
So I've got a lot of, obviously I'm a trader, and your project came up, I put out a tweet, and I do that like once a month where I asked everyone to tell me what the best projects are and what they're trading and what I should be looking at. And I have such an overwhelming response from a lot of the followers that KAI was what I needed to look at. Just due to the fact that it was doing similar stuff to what eGold and DOT is doing, but obviously for the Vietnam sort of market and for that Southeast Asian market. So how are you going about getting the product into basically into the hands of people in these regions?
Right. So our slogan when approaching, the Vietnam market is try to bring the global blockchain standard for the local businesses. So the approach that we do will be a little different from other blockchain projects that you have seen before. So we think that in order to really bring the blockchain to the mass, we're gonna go through the current traditional businesses and help them to blockchainize any of their solution if needed. So we go into form, right? We still have a community of very savvy, crypto savvy people who understand the technology, who would like to build the apps on our platform. At the same time, we go and sell our blockchain solution to government and enterprise in Vietnam particularly. Those businesses today, due to the special characteristic of the developing country, they don't really have any infrastructure ready yet. So many things just fit right in for blockchain technologies without the need of reinvent the wheel or deprecate anything, as in UK, Europe, or US. Right? So that is a two approach that we were trying to do, and the goal is to bring at least millions of users into the blockchain world by the end of 2021. So we already have.
Sorry, whereabouts are you on that process at the moment? So how many, you're saying you want 1 million users. So, how sort of much use is it getting right now?
Right. So we have a product called KAI Membership. That is our, holy grail product to tackle the mass populations, like what we call a B2C sort of thing. We already have more than 150K users today already. So the team is trying to make people onboarding blockchain without even know that they are on blockchain, right? It's just similar to AI today. Most of the time, you don't even know you have AI technology behind the scene. So most of the people is non-crypto people. They just come to the app, enjoy all the services, and at the same time, we have the layer of blockchain over there.
So with the app, they're needing to purchase the token to use that app. Is that how it's working, or?
No, yes, they can do that too, but it's more or less like incentivize a gamification to bring people in. Starting to download the app, playing some simple games, log in every day, earn some small KAI, and use a KAI for all the utility or all the services, like through voucher to mobile top up, which is a huge thing in Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah.
Not much elsewhere. And then they can use it to exchange for voucher to have like a burger or a pho over here. And then eventually they will see, we will convert them slowly. So right now we see at least 10% conversion rate. So with about 150K user we see more than 10K active user, which eventually, convert the token. So that approach has a pros and cons, of course, right? Because local people over here, they don't have much money. Right? Yeah. So a $1, $2, $3, $5 would be like a big thingy for them already. But we understand that is a challenge. And in order to reach the mass, we have to start somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Gonzo, any questions?
I saw you guys have this thing called Kakao Talk, or Open Kakao. Can you talk a bit about that?
Open Kakao? Sorry, which do you mean?
Kakao Talk, Open Chat?
We have a communities in the, do you mean the chat apps?
Oh, I see. Oh, I thought you guys were launching an app similar to that. I see. That's just your community on Kakao Talk.
Yeah.
I see.
Right.
Okay, I get it. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. That's why it doesn't make any sense. Kakao is big in Vietnam, right?
No, it's not. It's actually big in South Korea and Philippines, I think.
Oh.
So some part of Southeast Asia is pretty big, but not particularly in Vietnam.
Right. Okay.
Vietnam, we have our own very prominent, chat apps.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Okay. When are you going to get in 7-Eleven? That's the big one, hey?
So that's a great question. So indeed, together with what I told Lisa earlier about the B2C approach, we have the B2B, right? Where we try to come to the current, traditional businesses and tell them they can pretty much come onto our blockchain. So the special thing about Kardiachain adapting for the local business is that we're super cheap. We are 100,000 times cheaper than Ethereum. We have a 3 to 5 seconds of confirmation time. And a TPS of 6,000 TPS, right? So in general, it makes a lot of sense for any business in Vietnam to come and use us, because each transaction is just almost free as of today with the current KAI price, and they enjoy the benefit of having a module libraries of their apps on blockchain. So that's the same sale that we come to, not 7-Eleven particularly, but other similar convenience store in Vietnam, which is more prominent in Vietnam. It's called GS25, right? So we come there, we offer them, come onto blockchain. And for the past year, we have been selling the story a lot. And then this year, we'll focus on a few template use case. For example, loyalty, right? Loyalty is big, right? Discount voucher, how to exchange it from a convenience store to, restaurant, hotel, airlines, traveling, whatsoever, right? So everybody wants the in blockchain. That makes it very easy. It's just similar to Adapt that our familiar concept in the crypto world, right? So yes, we talk to a similar convenience store. They're very interested in that. We have that in our pipeline for Q2 to build a template app, and hopefully people can just copy it and continue to grow it even further.
Right.
Stefano, I'll come to you in a moment, but my first question is, I've obviously had a really close look at who's involved in the project. It's an incredibly impressive team, some great universities there. I mean, yourself, you're a Berkeley graduate, then Cisco, Google, your colleagues involved in the project, similar fantastic backgrounds there. Always great when we see people of that caliber running a project. But how many of the actual team are full-time? Well, could you talk us sort of through how the team came together, who's full-time, how that's evolving?
Right. Right. So it would be even more, amazed if you know that the six C executive level was actually from the same high school and it was classmate back then. So so we were all from the same school, one of the best one in Vietnam. And then after high school, and we all went to college from different countries. So I myself was from Berkeley, and my co-founder, G. CEO was coming to London, and then after a few years working in industry and particularly understand more about blockchain technologies, we decided to found Kardia. So at first, Kardia was not in Vietnam. We're not based in Vietnam. We were based in both UK and US. And only 2019, when Vietnam government have that program to call the people overseas to come back to support the country, similar to the China program you probably heard 20 years ago. So then that was when we decided to come back. So most of the team, half of the team is actually full-time since the beginning. Most of the business team was full-time. I myself, I took a year off Google from the sabbatical leave program, so I can focus on Kardia and build it up. Early last year, I came back to Vietnam to build a team, and COVID happened, so I stuck there until now, right? Which is a great thing. I think Vietnam is one of the best place to be right now with this COVID problem. Yeah, so I would say, except for the 3 tech lead that is still stuck in the US, they're still working from home in Google. The rest of the team is actually full-time on this project.
Okay. Yeah, it really is a very impressive team. I'd encourage anyone to really go and check out who's involved. So Stefano, over to you, sir.
Sure. So I do have quite a bit of questions, but let's go like on the soft ones first. So you mentioned that like what you guys are doing is kind of like an alternative to Ethereum and Tron and so on. If someone wants to develop there, how do they do that? Like, do they code something in Solidity, for example? You have an VM to just like push the code over there. Is that a special language? Like, can you talk a bit about like that process?
Right. So you're talking about a cross-chain smart contract from one blockchain to another, right? So we stage it out. So back in 2018, when we have the first, interop DEX at that time, even before DOT, Cosmos was launched. The way we do it is more like the hard coding one without a specific language. It's just more like we hard code everything in and show a full prototype demo. And for the productions one, we have what called KSML, a Kardiachain, master smart contract language. It's more like tagging a HTML sort of thing. So you can bundle a bunch of different, binary from different chain. So eventually what you do is you would have a smart contract deploy on Ethereum, you would have a smart contract deploy on Kardia, you would have a smart contract deploy on Neo or Tron or whatsoever other project is, right? So all of them would need to be compiled into binary and deploy. So the state we are in today is we don't care how you compile these, but you got the binary, and we bundle the binary into that KSML side, and we deploy that into Kardia chain, and Kardia will be responsible for doing all the orchestrating all of the deploying on different platforms. So in Q3, what we plan to do is to go one step further, allow you to write the code into our toolkits, and then we'll do the compiling step for you, bundle them in. So at that time, all the developer would have a pretty much very low entry point, right? They just need to go to our the end experience will just need to go to our tool, right, Explorer, write in whatever smart contract they want to deploy on different blockchain, and then we hook them up together. And the last step by Q4, what we're going to do is a different template where people don't even have to write a lot of code anymore. They can just go to the web page and create different template or point here and there. And then most of the time, it would just be configuration that they have to do.
Got it. Is there like right now, is it like you guys that are like doing like a solid 99 or 100% of the job, or are actually examples of like contracts that are being deployed that are not related or done by you directly?
So for the cross chain, we are pretty much the only one who do it right now. But for the single blockchain, sort of like similar to Ethereum solidity thing, we are not the only one. I just say we do like 50 to 70% of the work. Like I said earlier, we try to build a template for businesses to come in and do it. But we already have the private blockchain solution deployed for many enterprise over here. And in those environments, it's actually their developers, right? The enterprise or the government developer who write their own apps. And very soon, by end of Q1, we'll migrate many of them into the public blockchain. So I would say we're doing very well in the private, sectors. And now we are start to grow more into the public side, where we would ask people to start joining and building apps. But it might be our own opinion, but looking at some other blockchains platform out there, you could see that the developer from the crypto side is not necessarily the most effective way to grow the traffic, right? Because usually they will try to grow on a few well-known platforms like Ethereum, like EOS, like DOT, right? So for smaller blockchain like us, it's probably make more sense to start growing from the business side and leave the other side open. When we have enough traffic coming in, I think naturally that the people will start coming and developing on us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Moving more on the security part of the blockchain, how, if someone wants, how does that person run a node on your blockchain? What are the requirements for that? How does it work? Everything.
Right. So Kardiachain is using the DPoS BFT. So BFT means you need 2/3 of the stack in order to attack, right? DPoS mean you can delegate the stack over there. So currently as we are speaking, our blockchain have roughly 800 million guarding the 800 million KAI guarding the whole network, which is about 40% of our circulating supply. So in order for you to be a node, you would need to register and sort of like become a candidate, right? So you need at least 12.5 million KAI in order to apply, and that would be roughly around 400K USD. In order for you to apply. And then you would get people voting for you. Once you cross that 2.5 and you become one of the top validators in our list, then you automatically become a validator. So right now we have 20 to 25 validator master node, that's what we say. But we have almost 1,000 delegators for them, right? It's just like US, House or Senate layer, right? So you apply and then you get into the election list and then people start voting for you. At the moment that you cross the lowest one, then you become the new validators.
I mean, 20 is kind of like almost 60-70% more than like what XDAI, for example, has, because like I think that they're stuck at 13 or something like that. So overall, it's small, but it's not super small on that side. Now, a question on that, obviously, because it's more on the decentralization of the entire thing. You're targeting Vietnam, and in your team, you obviously have like people that were involved with the government and so on. The cost to run a node, the validator, we're talking about like 500,000 almost, 400K is kind of like on that range, which is certainly not something that the average Joe has in the pocket and be like, oh yeah, I have 500,000 running around, let me be a validator. how is that distribution? And like more important, how secure is for a user something like this in terms of like the distribution, the decentralization, and how high is, to me, is a risk. It doesn't mean that it might be for you, by the way, but how high is the risk that this thing is becoming like so under control at that point of like the ecosystem Vietnam in terms of like the government, the community, that it becomes like under that sort of like a glass bell, but is actually in reality sort of controlled by the government in that case.
Yeah,
is there a plan to avoid that, or is actually something that you don't really care about in the first place?
No, I mean, thank you. This is a great question. So it's actually 2 points to that. So like I said earlier, we said the theme is to apply the global standard to the local business need, right? So we consider your question to be one of the localization thing that we are doing. So everybody knows that in blockchain there are 3 things, right? Security, performance, and decentralization. You have to pick 2 out of 3. So what Kardiachain decided to pick is a performance and the security part over the decentralization part. That is why you see a 20 nodes, which could be challenged by many technologists as not that much decentralization. So now come back to the thing. We realize that if we want to grow in Vietnam, we want to fit in the Vietnam landscape. And if you know Vietnam, it is a communist country. Pretty much everything you have one party to choose from. So we give them 20 choices. Actually, when we work with businesses over here, the question is, why do you need 20? You probably need 3. That is pretty much decentralized in their opinion already. So what I'm trying to say is the local business need here is not about decentralization that much. They just want some decentralization, but probably not like hundreds of thousands, not like some other project is doing. So that is the lesson we learned hard, and we fine tune it. Originally, Kardiachain is supposed to have 100 of nodes, but then you can see it's gonna trade off in performance. It's gonna trade off in cost, right? Expense. It's not gonna be as cheap as it is today. It's not gonna be as fast as it is today. But then we are totally fine, at least at this point, for 20. And then it's okay if at some point we figure that we need to grow. We're gonna go through 50, right? It's not like a hard code that we cannot move beyond. It's just a trade-off that we carefully tuning and monitoring closely. Now come to the point of what happened in the 20 node. Like I said, you can only become the validators once you have 500K. But it's not only your money. It's gonna be the whole node, right? The whole ecosystem. So you see people can come in and delegate into the node. If you're an average Joe, you probably don't want to run validator nodes anyway, but you want to participate in securing the network. In that case, you only need 1,000 KAI, which is about $20 to participate in the consensus mechanism, right? But if you want to be the validator node, of course, for the POS, you need to have one big deposit from your side in case you become malicious, and that goes where that 500K was from. So that is more for security purposes. But any average Joe can come and join the system, and then we let the people speak up to which businesses they believe. So the first 20 nodes for Kardia, the Genesis one, 10 of them was from Vietnam. 10 of them was from the rest of the world. And the 10 from Vietnam was the 10 biggest businesses that we partner with. You can see some huge name in our validator list, right? So they stack the first, for 500K to register. And then the people vote for them. And then we have LG, for example, LG CNS from South Korea. Those were one of our validators as well. And as the people speak, and then we have community node too. So we have 5 of them was directly from our communities, right? And they vote and they become a validator. But as time goes, you will see very interesting that for businesses that people don't trust, you can see they going lower and lower and lower in the election list. Doesn't matter if they are big in our country. If people don't believe them, don't trust them, they will move down the list. And I think that is the power of decentralization. Is the power of letting the people to speak up and vote for what they believe is the best one.
Got it. I have one final question, and then I'm gonna let the others go and speak a little bit. So you mentioned that, like, obviously that 400K to be a validator. Lisa's obviously mentioned that there is an interest in the trading community. So like that part of the industry, and you mentioned that like you have 150,000 users that are like downloading the app, do little tasks, playing games, and so on. Now, I'm a big fan of that part, especially because like all the play to earn, the universal passive income, like all of those concepts and so on. My question is more like on actually the real numbers on that. If I'm a user of the platform in let's say, for example, I put 1 hour every single day on something like that, how much now again, obviously I know what you mean on like $5 goes a long way in a developing country. I totally agree with you on that, but that's exactly my point on that. So if I put, for example, 30 hours a month, so 1 hour every single day, what's the return in terms of dollars that I can expect from something like that?
From the membership app, you say?
Yeah.
From the game that we play? It's actually tricky. We don't encourage people to farm on us, right? So it's more like every day we have a budget for giving out, to sort of like an airdropping, if you will, and then people will come in, but we don't expect people to spend 3 hours a day farming on a game to get KAI. It's not the intention. The intention is to bring the KAI awareness to more people. So every day you need to come in and you play games for like 10 minutes. That is a mean requirement. You can play as much as you want, but everybody who play for like 5 to 10 minutes, they have a chance to do the lucky wheel, and the lucky wheel is built on blockchain as well, so we cannot cheat on that, right? So you can come in the lucky wheel and you have your 1 or 2 tickets a day. You do your mission, you got the ticket, that's it, and then you go and you do the wheel. Even if you have 20 ticket, you would have to wait for another day to do that, right? So the intention really is to get you into the platform, not to let you farming us, because that defeats the purpose. Yeah. So like I said, I mean, it's all about probability. We give out a fair amount of KAI every day to make sure that at least like 10,000 people, up to 10,000 people who log in daily, they would have something to look for to play. We also build, interesting game like NFT, sort of like what we call Pokemon, right? So it's more like you come in, you feed your monster some food, and then you can bring them into battle. So we have games for them to play, and that we will just try to make it more interesting, that people come in and understand part of the blockchain technologies at the time, right? So we have DeFi, we have crowdfunding platform, we have staking, we have loan, we have peer-to-peer lending, all sort of like different things about blockchain that they can start playing and say, oh, it's cool, I want to do more, and then they start to buy.
Got it. All clear.
Lisa, over to you.
I'm just so obviously you're listed on several exchanges like Hotbit and KuCoin at the moment. Is there any plans of additional listings like Binance, Bitfinex, some of those bigger exchanges?
So of course, it's a natural growth of a project that we would expect to see, more exchanges coming. The committee has been asking this question again and again, pretty much every day, coming into committee. So I try to check out the committee every day, like, to make sure that people are okay. And this question pop up a lot, especially with the out season is coming. All I'm saying is we definitely will go there, go to tier 1. So if you think about a chain for altcoin that is better than KuCoin, you really don't have that many options, right? You have something like OKX, OB, Binance, right? But Binance is usually the end game. Basically, Binance is the biggest one for altcoin. Once you get there, then no more exchange to go, right? So there will be a path to get there. That's what I'm saying. We are looking at that. What we want is a more steady growth of the token value, rather than you will see a huge pump and dump, because that could hurt our ecosystem a lot. So in answering your question, sure, of course, we are looking into all options, but the outcome season coming now, imminent now, actually, make many things harder, right? Because there will be a longer lines of projects.
Yeah, so with that model of making it affordable for Vietnam people, does that mean that you're suppressing the price, or because, no?
No, there's no reason why we should suppress the price, but we did not try to. We are one of the team that if you follow, you will see that we really never leak out any rumors or news. So the thing that we would avoid the most is to create hype, like you know, a fake hype, just to see the price grow, because indeed it hurt us. We cannot sell the token anyways, and at the same time it just hurt our long-term you know, staker or community. So so that is why from that point we try to make sure that we move slowly and only communicate clearly about the products, rather than all the news about exchange would create very quick hype, as you probably know, right? And
so with the price not increasing like massively, but doing it gradually, is there a certain amount of KAI that you need to have to be a business on your blockchain, or is that the model, or is it because most, like, you know, sort of you can buy a portion of Bitcoin or you can buy a portion of anything. So is there a, you know, a particular amount that you need like to be a business on there?
No, we like I said, is the only two the sort of like limit we have is 1,000 KAI if you want to delegate for validators, and if you want to be applied for the validator yourself, then you need like 12 million KAI, right? So some big business over here, when they work with us, they demand that they have their own validator. So at least they make sure that they know what's going on in the network. In that case, they would need to buy 12 million KAI, which is about like 400K we say earlier. But those are for very big businesses. Sometimes the business work together. Like currently, we have a few businesses that collab together to have that amount. Right? So if we successfully do what we are set up for, then you will see many businesses will start to buy KAI and compete for a validator spot. And that was when you will see the price grow as the demand grow, like the real correlation between value and price, rather than just for some hype on the price.
But no, I'm not talking hype, but like real value is the price steadily growing, and like at you know, a lot of these new altcoins, like you've got 1inch that has grown quite substantially, you know, in such a short time, because it has a very valid use case. So that's what I'm saying. Use case here normally creates value, which increases the price. So and you're talking like validators are like $500,000. So, you know, as that grows, are they going to be sort of more business?
Slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So all of these numbers are governed by the validator set, right? So they can propose a change and they can vote to change that. So we really have no control. Those are just the initial value that we set up at the price when we launch our mainnet. And all of these would be set up for vote or for government by all the validators and their delegators. So indeed, we just reduce the minimum staking amount from 25K, which is like $500, to like 1,000, right? That is because the demand from the community wants it. So those can be changed because it's a fully decentralized part. And yeah, I believe that the price would go with some correlation to the usage, right? So for a blockchain platform, the usage could come from numbers of users, numbers of transactions, and we have clear KPI that we want to meet by the end of the year, right? So we want to have 1 million users, like 1 million wallets on the blockchain, and 10 million transactions with an average of 1 TPS, 1 real TPS. And all of these things you can track on our Explorer. We're working, and we're hopeful that we can reach that.
So if you're doing that, then so you at 150,000 now, so you're talking like about 8 times growth, 8 to 9 times growth here. So the price we're looking at, are you seeing that moving in line with the growth of the company, of the blockchain?
It will increase the price if we can do that, assuming like by this time next year we talk back and we see that all the KPI has met, then I'm sure the price would have to follow. I don't know if that's going to be a 1-to-1 or it's going to be a 1-to-10 or it's going to be however it is. But I do believe that you will see the correlations and you should see a steady growth uprise with the KPI that we met. That is our intention. And we have all the KPIs about user, about products, about transaction. We don't have any KPI about price. We will have to monitor and we'll have some ideas of the correlation when it comes, but not right now.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question from me. Obviously, looking, you've got a number of government officials on the advisory board, which is, I think a lot of blockchain projects in the future are going to face issues from government, maybe especially in the US. Could you maybe talk to us a wee bit about the regulatory framework in Vietnam?
I don't know what is the best way to describe it, but from my experience working in Silicon Valley, for example, where you could think is the wildest place in the world, but they actually have a lot of regulations. Coming back to Vietnam, I could say that there pretty much no regulations, right? So you can do pretty much anything until they say that it's not okay. So that is why having government officials on the program actually helps a lot, right? Because they can help you navigate through the barriers. They can help to tell you what is a focus, what can we do. So the government has been open a lot in the past few years. They invited Kardiachain to different forums to talk about futures of blockchain, what they call industrial movement 4.0 sort of thing, and the Prime Minister actually put blockchain as one of the 5 focus for Vietnam in the next 5 years, together with AI, VR, and whatever. So and again, they are the one who wanted us to come back and build this, what they call a national sort of blockchain infrastructures. I myself have no intention to went back to Vietnam 5 years ago when I was in Silicon Valley, but I do buy in the dreams of modernizing the home country, right? And believe it or not, I mean, all the government official is very open to be our advisor, and they actually actively sitting on our board and giving direction pretty much every day. This is what you should do. And those are the vision that we set up for 2021. Regulation, again, is not set in stone in paper, but it is a lot of movement behind the scenes. And that is where we think that we have a certain advantage when we in the game early. We have the government support, and we have the media support on our front. Otherwise, you could easily fall into all the scam that you could see in this crypto space. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Gonzo, question from you.
You're mute.
Yeah, you kind of took my question there. I was just wondering about the whole connection with the government there and how Vietnam, I mean, I'm in Bangkok here in Thailand, and it seems like they keep changing, like, oh, we're into crypto, oh, we're not into crypto. And it changes from week to week and month to month. It seems like you kind of really be on top of it, right? Just like.
So Vietnam is more, political, stable compared to Bangkok, I could say, right? So we just have the sort of like the elections, like the biggest election every 5 years, and we just got it last week, and pretty much the same government officials stay, right? So the one was on our board, they're gonna continue to be on our board, and for another 5 years. So I think that is good, because it's the same people that have the same vision that that they should push for technology, they should push for blockchain, they should bring more people in, they should push for startup and things like that. So I guess say for the next 5 years at least, we will see this one thrive, and that is our goal. In 2 or 3 years, we should be able to set up ourselves as the platform of choice in Vietnam before we can start growing to Southeast Asia and other parts of the country, of the world, where I believe will have different challenge on regulations and things.
Right. Also, I was wondering, I noticed you guys signed a partnership with NEM. What does that entail? How does that go?
Right. So if you look, we have a pretty good partnership with Link, with NAM, with Ontologies or Theta, right? So those are Neo. Those are all pretty big projects. And the NAM one particularly is that they want to have an exposure into the Vietnam market, similar to what I told you earlier about playing games and get KAI. So then it's a good partnership opportunity for pretty much every other blockchain project if they want to, comes to Vietnam, right? So they could integrate their names into their SAMs, right, into our apps and get it exposed to hundreds of thousands or millions of Vietnamese, right? So now they can play games, and rather than have KAI, they can also have SAM, right? Or if you are the SAM holder, you can use your SAM to stay in Vietnam.
Okay, cool. I like that idea. I mean, there's a business saying to take over the world, you got to take over your backyard first, right? So it's
right. That is exactly what we want to do.
What you're doing, right? Nail down Vietnam and then grow from there. That's cool. How about like compared to there's other chains, like I think Pundi, right? They're doing the same kind of thing, like trying to do mass adoption, and they went with the point of sale devices. It seems like you guys are kind of bypassing point of sale and just going right to the mobile apps, right? Do you have any plans for point of sale or anything like that?
So we go directly to mobile, mainly because again, the characteristic of the locals over here, right? So they pretty much like 95 to 99% of Vietnamese people have mobile, whereas they lack something very fundamental, like hardware, like ATMs and things like that. It's very lacking in Vietnam in general. But everybody has mobile, so that has to change our approach a little bit. We have to go mobile first and try to capture that populations, and then at some points, if the demand is there, we'll start looking, backfill in some of those hardware POS and things like that.
Cool, fantastic. Stefano, any closing questions from you, sir?
Yes, I have one that obviously is relating to like the team and kind of like everything that's being asked in the past, like from Lisa and Jordan. The advisor that you have on the website, because I have to ask this. What's that? Like I don't know how to put that in a more soft way. But
the advisors, I think he wants to say they look like male models or
the ambassadors.
sorry, yes, pardon, my bad. They're not the advisor, they're the ambassador. That's very true. They kind of like, you're starting with like a tech savvy team, former government parties, like it's like a pretty solid, almost intimidating type of team for Vietnam at that point. It seems
and then
like
some male models.
And then there are 3 male models that are ambassador for the project, and I'm like, that to me, I don't know, like that's
I must admit I had a bit of a giggle at that as well.
It's target marketing. You're trying to get more women in blockchain, right?
I don't think that's getting me into blockchain.
I mean, it could be.
So interestingly, when we first started, most of our original investor was from the Western, right? So like UK, Europe, because we started there. And then we came back to Vietnam. So now we target the Vietnamese population, but at the same time, I would say 80 to 90% of the current investor are still Western people, and they knew about our shift of direction, but they want to stay because they believe in developing country. They believe in the missions, right? So the ambassadors, we have the official ambassador program where those are just very committed, volunteering, community members who have been staying with us from the first day. And since the focus now is back to Vietnam, we don't want to leave the investor in the other sides of the world, feel unoccupied, other companies. So they step up, becomes the leads, and those are great people. They take care of the community every day. They work closely with us. We did ask them to have sort of like formal pictures on the website, but they prefer the style to be friendly, close, crypto savvy, to stay with the community and make sure that they always feel like they are well taken care of. And I think that's why I actually love all of these, ambassadors in our communities. They just be themselves, and I think that is what important for a decentralized platform project.
Yeah,
so,
I've got on Twitter who's pretty amazing. So, and absolutely gets the message out for Kai. So yeah,
That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
So
That, I guess, is
those
just
are
like
great. Yeah.
it's just like the choice of like their profile that is a bit unusual. But hey, if they do the job, if they make the job done, then like
Well, I
it's
think
perfect.
it's also the contrast, you have like, ministers of communication and tourism and like generals, and then you got like fitness model. Like it's like, whoa, okay.
That showed the age, right?
Yeah, cover all the bases.
It is Kai is for
Yeah.
everyone.
There you
Yeah.
go. We asked the important questions on this show. We've cleared that one up. You're a male model and you want to be an ambassador for Hard Fork, and get in touch.
Right.
Hey, look, I think you've answered very well. As I say, for me, looking at the team, how approachable you've been. Obviously, we just tweeted out before, and a whole heap of people jumped on that. So there's clearly a big growing community here. We really do wish you the best of luck, and it'll be great to have you back on in the future. But before we go, sorry, Lisa, I didn't ask you. Did you have a closing question?
No, I think I've had all mine answered. Mine were mainly price. That's what my followers mainly want to know. They want to know the price is going up. So, and
Binance.
I
have a plan.
think the growth of the blockchain and of Kai, happens, as you say, from 1,500, 150,000 to 1 million people using. I think the price will grow accordingly.
Excellent. Yeah. Listen, thank you once again for your time, and we'll stay in touch and be following your progress very closely, I'm sure.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Lisa, Johnny, and Stefano. I hope to have a chance to come back and provide more update. Thank
absolutely.
you again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to the various shows we do, and if you'd like us to cover you on the 1 Bitcoin and 32 Ethereum show, where we literally do a weekly update, do AMAs with the projects we're following. Would love to have you as part of that. But I'll drop you a note the next day or two on that one. I'll send you a link to check it out.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.